Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. As you know, TNA had their final go home show before Sacrifice, so anything could happen. But however, amongst these matches, Leon Slater, who's involved in the steel cage match, will be facing Eddie Edwards. Whoever walks out of this match will be the one to get the advantage, if you guys know what I'm talking about. So I'll explain a little bit more about that. And of course, we have very other matches as well as taking place leading up to it. Then we see, of course, Joe Hendry involved in a open challenge for the TNA World Title. So we'll see who'll be kind enough to take up the task. And then, of course, we have Ring of Honor with various matches. Of course, Angelico makes his return, teaming up with Serpentico, known as Spanish Announce Project, which is going to be fun. But the main event features, of course, Atlantis, Místico, and Esfinge taking on Rocky Romero, Euforia, and Valiente. That's going to be a real fun match. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing two of much recent events from Marigold, continuing on with the Spring Victory Series. One on, of course, in Nagoya and the other one in Shinjuku FACE. So we'll go through A to Z on that one. So we don't need to worry about it. And then, of course, as always, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Lead It Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Lead It Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. Anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or nice comments in the description down below. Now, all introductions have been said. It's time to go full speed ahead. So let's begin, of course, continuing with more of Marigold's Spring Victory Series in Nagoya. Okay, Marigold. This is day 4 of their latest tour, the Spring Victory Series. Now, this happened recently on the 9th of March, but it was not broadcast on their Wrestle Universe until the 11th of March. And this took place in Nagoya, in case anybody asked. Now, as you all remember, Kitsune Tanaka was out due to a back injury. Nothing too severe, but just required of her to take a lot of rest. And now she's back. She did a little promo. She will not be making her next appearance until the next show, which is very cool to hear. I don't know what she said, but I'm glad that I think she might have told her fan base that thank you for supporting her, thank you for not forgetting her, that sort of thing. But we'll see how she'll do on the following day. Now, our first match, we have tag team action. We have Ryoko Sakimura teaming up with Yuki Minami, taking on Rhea Seto and Nao Ishikawa. Now, this is also very interesting. I have to say because Nao Ishikawa seems like she has the most experience out of all three of them, but Rhea Seto is not that far off from Nao Ishikawa at all. But in the end, of course, it was Ishikawa who was able to pick up the victory on Sakimura, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next up, we have Riara taking on Bozilla. Now, it doesn't take a genius how this match was going to go because we know Bozilla would do whatever it takes to build up momentum for her upcoming title match against Utami Hayashida. So you would think, okay, she probably murderized her. Yeah, she did by applying the sit down power bomb and just 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our next match, we have a bit of an 8-woman tag team match, I believe. Yes. We have Darkness Revolution, consistent of Megaton, Mitsumatsui, Chiaki, and Nagiza Nozaki taking on Arena Yamanaka, Chikagoto, Natsumi Shozuki, and of course Miku Anoe. So it's interesting now that these ladies are dealing with, of course, Darkness Revolution. I know deep down that certain members, certain the opposition of Darkness Revolution, they are not too pleased with, of course, Misa joining with Dark Revolution, but of course, she felt that this is where she belonged. But of course, in the end, it was what's her name, Shozuki, with of course winning the match with a running knee strike to Megaton, and just like that, knocking her out. 1, 2, 3, over. Now, our next match. This was a very interesting match. We have Mirai versus Mai Sakurai. Now, if you guys think it's interesting, those who are probably new to the channel don't know, let me explain to you guys. These two ladies actually met during their time in Stardom back in 2022. If you guys remember, they were members of DDM at the time. Of course, Mirai joined DDM before Mai Sakurai did, and this happened at the start of 2022. Mai Sakurai didn't join until February of 2022. However, later on, Mirai left DDM to join Godseye, and we all know how that is because it was a special relationship between both of these girls. They have been rivals before and friends throughout the entirety of their tenure, and of course, them being tag team champions was something else. And now it's like Mirai is seeing that Sakurai is now succeeding even further. But however, they were not. They were both evenly matched when this match ended with, of course, a time limit draw after 15 minutes. Now I don't know what Sakurai said to Mirai, but I'm sure that their friendship will continue to be well established. However, it seems that Mai Sakurai may have the next challenger, and this one is, of course, the newest addition into the roster, Arena Yamanaka. As you all know, she made her in-ring debut a while back, and then later, of course, appeared on the February 20th show in Cork and Hall. So it wouldn't surprise me that she'll be the next challenger for the white belt. So we'll see where that goes. Now, our main event, we have Victoria Yuzuki, who is our current Superfly champion, taking on the MARIGOLD World Champion, Utami Ayashida. Now, of course, these two ladies, I have to say, is interesting. Utami Ayashida, who's been determined to become the ace, is now the ace due to the fact that she won the world title, and Victoria Yuzuki, who's determined to become the future ace, well, she's facing the current ace. So you would think how this match was going to go. But however, Victoria Yuzuki did put up a hell of a fight, but it was not enough until Utami Ayashida put her in the hijack bomb, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, during the post-match promo, I don't know what Utami Ayashida said to Yuzuki, but I'm sure Utami sees a lot of potential in her, knowing that maybe one day you will be the next ace when she's gone or done or whatever goes around. But I'm sure Victoria Yuzuki is glad to hear that coming from someone like her. But we'll see what happens. But right now, we're officially done with this one with MARIGOLD on day 4. Let's move on with day 5. Okay, so we continue with more with MARIGOLD in day 5 of the Spring Victory Series. This took place on the 11th of March in Shinjuku FACE. Now, our opening match features, of course, a three-way. We have Ryoko Sakimura versus Rhea Seto versus Natsumi Shozuki. Now, of course, to me, the X factors here. You look at Sakimura; she is the weakest link. She hasn't so far picked up the win yet. Now we know that Rhea Seto has picked up wins here and there, which is obvious. And as for Suzuki, well, we cannot deny that, as you know, our first ever Superfly champion, well, we know she can pick up wins. So basically, you can tell that the one person who, the one, two, maybe two people that could most likely win would be Suzuki and Seto. But I can tell you by the end of this that it was Rhea Seto who picked up the win when she applied a German suplex on Sakimura. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Seto wins, and that's it. Our next match, we have Yuki Minami taking on Mirai. Now, of course, it doesn't take a genius for all of you to know how this was going to go. We have seen Mirai, how strong she is, how strong and capable she can really be when it comes to doing her job as a wrestler. And of course, she was able to do that by pinning, of course, Yuki Minami when she first applied like a somewhat of a helicopter twist, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next up, we have Kizuna Tanaka making her return, taking on Nagisa Nozaki. Now, I don't know how well prepared she is. I mean, Nagisa Nozaki, those who know this, as a member of Darkness Revolution, she is tending to cheat her way through as always. I mean, that's always been her now repertoire ever since forming this group, ever since, of course, she turned heel. But unfortunately, Kizuna was unsuccessful in winning in this match when, of course, Nozaki applied the land snore, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our next match, we have Darkness Revolution. Well, two of them so far, Mitsa Matsui and Bozilla, taking on Chika Goto and Utami Ayashida. Now, you can consider this as a preliminary match between Bozilla and Utami Ayashida because, as you know, Bozilla is the number one contender for the world title. So the real question is who will get the momentum for this match, which is obvious, you can tell. But unfortunately, this match ended with Bozilla picking up the win when she applied a pile driver onto Chika Goto, and just like that, 1, 2, 3 is over. But during the post match, of course, Mitsa Matsui took great pleasure to humiliate Utami Ishida, telling her that sooner or later that her reign as the world champion probably will be done. But of course, Utami Ishida, she is not afraid of anybody. She's never backed down from a fight from anybody. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, well, this one's a very interesting. Darkness Revolution members Megaton and Chiaki team up with Gigaton, which was very unusual. They face Chayota, Miko Ano, and of course our current United National Champion Mai Sakurai. I was surprised to see Gigaton teaming up. I mean, I'm sure that Megaton was not happy to see her one way or the other. But seeing Chanyota, Mikoano, and Mai Sakurai teaming up is probably one of the best ones because we know that Chanyota and Mai Sakurai are very close. And of course, that's going to play out pretty well because in the end, it was Chanyota who picked up the win onto, of course, Megaton by submission. And of course, she had no choice but the tap. Now, I don't know what happened in the post match promo. They said the winner said something, but it's great that they probably picked up the win. Our main event, you can call it a passion injection match. Victoria Yuzuki taking on Nanane Takahashi. That's right. I think you all know what this means. This means that she wants to see the kind of passion that Victoria Yuzuki has. And of course, we have seen the extraordinary things she has done in the past, prior before Mighty Gold and during her time as Mighty Gold. But that sets it up. But in the end, it was Nanane Takahashi with a modified version of a I don't know if it was like a muscle buster type. It looked more like it, but I don't know. It just felt like it. But just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. So pretty much that's what happened in this one. I don't know if there'll be more continuing with this tour, but hopefully we can. But as of right now, we are officially done with Mighty Gold. Let's move on with TNA. Okay, TNA. As you probably can guess, we're 1 day away for Sacrifice, so anything could happen. But first things first, I did mention about the advantage. Those who have ever seen cage matches, there's always those type of tag teams that, let's say a 5-on-5 type, one team has to particularly have the advantage, where it goes, what starts with 1-on-1, and then of course one of the teams have to have the advantage of 2-on-1, that sort of thing. So this first match led to that between Eddie Edwards and Leon Slater. Now, of course, we have seen how the system will do whatever it takes to get things done under their advantage, and that's exactly what happened. Leon Slater had almost had this match won, but it was Eddie Edwards with the Boston Knee Party, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, the system gets the advantage. Like they always claim that they control everything, but we'll see how that rolls out. Now, as you know, Sami Callihan has his fair issues towards Mance Warner and Steph Delanders, but once again they get into his face. But they just, instead of going to a brawl, they're waiting until that day happens. So sooner or later they will meet up at Sacrifice. Now, our next match, we have Wes Lee, as you know, along with his two cronies, Igweg and DuPont, taking on Laredo Kid. Now, we've seen in the past recently with DuPont and Igwe getting involved. Not this time. Basically, they stayed out of it. But it was Wes Lee that walked away with the win when he applied the cardiac kick, and then 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, the Rascals and Ace Austin decided they're not going to go chase down because they know how much cowards they are. But they did mention, come to Sacrifice, there is nowhere to run. So we'll see how about that goes. Now, Santino was mostly minding his own business, doing business work. Well, Spitfire were not happy what happened with that little chihuahua getting in the way. And then, of course, he did demand what they're going to do about it. However, Santino came up with a better solution. How about a handicap match? Of course, Spitfire taking on the Elegance and the mystery partner, and the mystery partner turned out to be that little chihuahua. So he was like, now I got to wrestle? Well, too bad. He got himself involved. I mean, that's the price he has to pay. And of course, Spitfire are enjoying this. So we'll see how that rolls up. Now, our next match, we have Zaya Brookside taking on Rosemary. Now, as you guys remember last time, Rosemary was in the Raptors. We don't know who she was looking up to. Was she looking upon, of course, Savannah Evans or Zaya Brookside? Well, seems like it was Zaya Brookside to be exact. However, this match had a little interesting twist where, of course, Rosemary brought in the chain. She intending to use it onto her. However, there was a moment where Zaya Brookside was like in the moment of she wants to use it. The ref was trying to tell her, no, no. But because she took way too much time, Rosemary decided to spit out the green mist onto her face. And of course, it resulted in a disqualification. Now, they never specified whether Zaya Brookside won that match, but I'll say maybe that's what they did. Now, as you know, Steve Macklin has been dealing with the whole thing with Eric Young. As you know, Eric Young is now in full control of the Northern Armory. But Eric Young insisted that he wants him by his side. Now, Steve Macklin, as you know, he has a different type of way of acting up. I mean, he's not afraid in any fight that he's thrown in front of him. He's not afraid to walk away. But however, when it comes to people that he trusts, that's the one thing that he's dealing with. However, he's probably considering maybe the offer or maybe just doing his own thing. But time will tell what will happen between those two. Now, our next match, we have JDC versus Diener. As you know, JDC, in hopes that he will build up momentum until the cage match when he teams up with the Colognes. And of course, Diener had to face him, and this match ended thanks to JDC crossing lines by applying an eye gouge, and then, of course, the Falcon Arrow, and just like that, it was over. Now, before our next match, we did see Ariana Grace decided to make an appearance to talk about her new best friends. The match between Tessa Blanchard and Cora Jade to take on Li Ying Li and Masha Slamovich. So it's no secret what's going on. We know that Li Ying Li will be facing against Tessa Blanchard, and then of course Cora Jade will challenge Masha Slamovich for the TNA Knockouts title. So you probably can guess how that's going to turn out. However, this match ended with, of course, the moment there was Jay decided to use the belt onto Masha, but this did allow for Tessa to apply the buzzsaw onto Masha, and just like that, it was over. 1, 2, 3, we're done. But the real question is, will Cora J be the first person to win a championship outside of NXT? That's a very good, solid question. So we will see what happens in Sacrifice. Now, there was a summit between both Mike Santana and Mustafa Ali. Now, Mustafa Ali, as you know, he thinks that he is the true chosen one to lead TNA into the future. But Mike Santana feels, hey, you never faced guys. I was the one who went through the system all by myself. I defeated one of the best wrestlers in the world. But of course, Mustafa Ali thinks that maybe that's impressive, but it's not enough. But of course, they all hell broke loose. They went into a brawl. Apparently, Mustafa Ali is trying to get him to get back on the bandwagon. But the real question is, will Mike Santana get jump in again, or will he prevail as always? So we'll see what happens. Now, before our next match, Frankie Kazarian, as you know, as the winner of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match, he has the opportunity to challenge for any championship of his choosing. Now, the match we were supposed to have an open challenge for the of course, the TNA World Title. Joe Hendry's willing to defend the belt against anybody who would step up. Well, he is Nick Nemit's brother. The end. Well, he showed up, wanted to challenge him for the belt. Santino's not too sure about that. But this match ended real quickly with Joe Hendry winning by the standing ovation. However, Santino said, well, I didn't pick him. He already had someone in line, and he picked Alex Hammerstone. So he told Joe Hendry, was he okay with this idea? So he said, why not? Let's do it. And you can tell that Alex Hammerstone is not an easy individual to put away because he's a big, strong individual in any way possible. But Joe Hendry was able to overcome it by applying the standing ovation, and just like that, it was over. So he retained the belt. However, the system, as you know, with their usual shenanigans, attacked Joe Hendry, but the Hardys, Elijah, and Slater showed up to deal with the mess. But of course, the system believes that they will walk out as the winners along with the Colognes. But only time will tell until Sacrifice. But as a moment, we are officially done with TNA. Let's move on with Ring of Honor. Ring of Honor. So let's get started. It opened up with tag team action, and we have Spanish Announce Project, consistent of the return of Angelico and Serpentico. I have to say, it's great to see Angelico again. I think the last time we saw him, he was in a title match, but he ended up might have been injured. But I'm glad he's okay, that he's back, teaming up with his compadre, the Serpentico. However, they face against Alpha Zoe and CSJ. Now, of course, I don't need to tell you how this match will go, who's going to win. It was obvious by the looking at it. It's going to be, of course, CAP. It was, of course, a double submission, but it was Angelico who was, in fact, the legal person. He applied the Navarro lock onto uh, CSG. And just like that, CSG had no choice but to tap. Now, we did see a bit of a clip that they decided to put back. As you know, Jericho attacked Gravity, sent a direct message to Bandito, claiming Bandito this was his fault for what Jericho did to, of course, Gravity. But we know this feud is going to continue on until the next pay-per-view. Our next match, we have Blake Christian taking on Titus Alexander. It's great to see him. Those who don't know who he is, he wrestled mostly with, of course, West Coast Pro. He has wrestled in Noah and Marvelous as well, and he is, I believe, currently the West Coast Pro Tag Team Champions with Starboy Charlie. But now we'll get to see him in singles action. I have to say, this was a pretty good match with Titus Alexander and Blake Christian. But however, Blake Christian always finds ways to pick up the win until he applied, of course, the Vanilla Choke Zero. And just like that, Titus Alexander had no choice but to tap. Next up, we have Layla Gray taking on Lady Frost. So, Layla Gray, as you know, she has grown significantly ever since going to the New Japan Academy, sharpening her skills. Let's see how that will take place. I wasn't too sure how this was going to go. We know that Lady Frost had picked up wins in here and there in Ring of Honor, but it was Layla Gray who picked up the win when she applied a roll up, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Next up, we have an 8-man tag team match. We have first Tony Nese and Arya Daivari, the premier athletes, or as they say, athlete sucks. They team up with the frat house consistent of Preston Vance and Cole Carter. They take on Top Flight, Dante and Darius Martin, and they team up with the Gates of Agony. Now, sometimes you ask yourselves, how would these teams coexist? I wasn't too sure about the Gates of Agony and Top Flight, but however, there have been some great moments where, of course, Teo Leona picked up Dante and he tossed him to the opposing team. And basically, it kind of helped, you know. But in the end, it was the open the gates onto Preston Vance, onto not by then Teo Leona pinned him, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Our next up, we have Aaron Solo versus Dark Panther. Now, Commander, as you know, our current ROH World Television Champion, will defend his belt against him. However, he's taking a ringside seat. But you can guess that this match, of course, Dark Panther will have nothing more to get his hands on him. But however, it was Dark Panther with a missile drop kick onto Aaron Solo, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. But of course, Dark Panther and Commander got into each other's faces, and we just have to wait until the next event they will be facing off. Next up, we have Lee Johnson taking on Katsuyori Shibata. Now, of course, we have seen Shibata, what he can do. Man, he took him out completely and gave him a PK, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, adios. Now, we did see a bit of an interview with the frat house. They're declaring, yeah, well, we didn't win, we didn't lose. All we can do is just go out and get some booze. Of course, that's all they care about. But of course, the Dark Order were trying to feel like, is this what you turned yourself into? One of these idiots? And of course, Preston Vance decided to say, look who's talking to you guys, still doing the same old thing over and over. But, we'll see where that goes with them. Our main event, we have Lucha Libre time. We have Místico and Fince, and of course, Atlantis taking on Valiente, Euforia, and Rocky Romero. Now, of course, we can know how this match was going to turn out, but this match ended, of course, with Místico with La Mística onto Euforia, which is a kind of like a Fujiwara armbar move, and then just like that, just like that, of course, Euphoria had no choice but to tap. So that's how it ends, folks. So that's how we end things, and let's move on with our last and final thing. We're officially done with our reviews, and let's go to some news updates. So welcome to our news updates. As always, let's begin with upcoming events. Now we have separate type of updates from the promotions. Let's start with GCW. As you know, this coming weekend we have the Atlantic City events. First, we have Ashes to Ashes on the 15th of March. They announced that Tony Deppen will take on WWE prospect Zeta Steel. That's going to be a very interesting matchup. And then, of course, the following day, for so much fun, on the 16th of March, well, once again, Tony Deppen will be in action to take on Sid Lopez. So, yeah, the biggest a-hole will be, in fact, in two matches in 2 days. Now, as for the House of Glory stuff, for the updates, as you know, there will be for the City of Dreams taking place on the 15th as well. They just announced the Crown Jewel Championship will be defended. Zilla Fatu defends his belt against a former WWE Dijak. That's right. So he's going to be his opponent. And then once again, House of Glory returns back to Chicago for Waging War. So this will take place on May 9th. So mark your calendars, boys and girls. Now as for Marvelous, for 2 upcoming events. As you know, they will be in Las Vegas. Well, first things first, on April 10th, they will have this thing called the Final. As you know, Meiko Satomura will be retiring soon in April. Well, it's just been announced that she'll be in Shinjuku FACE, and her opponent will be none other than the ace of Marvelous, Takumi Iroha. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, as you know, they got the Las Vegas event taking place on the 17th, and it will be here real soon. However, they just announced four more names. The first one is, of course, we have San Diego native Zara Zakher, Miko Alana, Jay Mainley, and of course Nightshade. So that's pretty much it for that. Let's move on. We'll continue with more of the upcoming events. As you know, recently I did reveal that Wesley will be appearing in Reality of Wrestling, Booker T's promotion and wrestling school, on the 30th of March. They just announced another NXT talent will be making her appearance, and that is Jay-Z Jane. MLW, as you know, continues to add more names for the upcoming Battle Riot on the 5th of April in LA. They just announced Bobby Fish will be participating. Now, as you know, New Japan will be returning back to Chicago on the 11th of April for Windy City Riot. Well, they just announced the New Japan World Television Champion will be there, El Fantasmo. Now, as you know, we have more with the West Coast Pro Las Vegas events. They just announced Jason Xavier, so he'll be on the Vegas vacation on the 17th of April. And then finally, as you know, the promotion Kitsune Women's Wrestling will have that 2-day event. However, they just announced Brittany Brooks will be participating in one event, and that's the LA one on the 8th of June. So I'm thinking about attending this event, so let's see how things will roll up from there. Now, on to some developments. As you all know, AJ Styles had a recent interview with Chris Van Vliet. I guess the obvious question is, now because of the partnership between WWE and TNA, I think the many question is, will he likely like to return to Wrestling in TNA? Well, according to him, he said he would love to. So, I mean, many fans are dying to see that. I mean, I'm sure I'm one of them. Now, interesting news has been going on about Jeff Cobb. As you know, there's been Fightful Select reports that sources claim that Cobb is now already part of the WWE internal roster. We haven't heard anything yet. Now, I'm sure many people are saying this is fake news and all that. We don't know for sure what's going on. I mean, various sources are saying the same old thing, but we don't have any concrete thing. We do know Jeff Cobb is still wrestling in Japan, so that's the thing. We don't know much. Now, as you all know, rememberly, Brian Alvarez of Wrestling Observer revealed that there was supposed to be an alternative ending for the, of course, for the main event at AEW Revolution. Well, it turns out one of the names that's supposed to have been involved was none other than Luchasaurus, or as we call him, Killswitch. So it's still unclear what was the extent of it. I think the idea was for Killswitch to possibly either take out Copeland or Moxley, and then of course Christian makes his win just like that. But we'll see where that leads us from there. Now, Scott Edwards had some things to say. As you probably know, we are getting closer to the finals of the Cinderella Tournament. As you know, there's four more competitors that will be facing off each other in the semifinals. Sayaka Kurara will be facing Azusa Inaba, and then of course there's the sisters Hanan and Rina will be challenging. But however, there are people they're speculating about Kurara, that what if she wins? And he had this to say, and I have to say that it's very fascinating what he's thinking of. So let me pull it up for all of you, so that way we get a clear understanding. If Sayaka Kurara ultimately wins 2025 Cinderella Tournament, as many people predict over the last month or so, I have her use the wish on the World Stardom Championship match against Kamitani. It's insane, but it's much more interesting path to me than the future wonder or trying simply to wish for Tam Nakano not to retire. Instead of using the title match as a way of either one, stop the career versus career match at Queendom, or two, try to get the redemption after Tam Nakano is forced to retire with the loss. I think both both work in putting that match at Korakuen Hall would lead an electric atmosphere, as proven back when Kurara time and time again through last year, and Kamitani should absolutely crushed her outside of the hope of spot or two, only adding the blood feud between Tam and her. Plus, Kurara has already pinned Saya Kamitani in the past. If we're going to use the Cinderella as a vehicle to the Tam and Saya story, why not go all in and give Kurara the craziest but intriguing match possible for it all? I think it works and adds the story all the more since Korra have been the central part of and for months. Maybe it's crazy for not, but I do think this is the best case scenario. If she wins next weekend, well, this is coming this weekend. Plus, the way Kamitani's going, this should be make it bigger heel in Cosmic Angel's Eye fans if she destroyed Tam Nakano's apprentice. Maybe it's crazy not, but I do. Well, yeah, that's the same part. Sorry, my bad. Kind of screenshot. But yes, so that's what they're saying. People predict that this is going to happen. But we'll see. I'm sure many people are hoping for that. But right now, let's keep on moving with our last development. Now, many of you may have heard what happened in the Japanese promotion Strong Style Pro Wrestling. Well, you may have heard of this wrestler named Tiger Queen. We don't know much about it. Well, she just removed her mask, and it turned out to be Veni. Yes, folks, you heard me. Veni, formerly known as Asuka. Not the Asuka that we know in WWE. This is another type, but another person. But yes, and she had this to say about why she removed her mask. And this is what she put out. Thank you very much to everyone who supported Tiger Queen over the past 3.5 years. Please forgive me for ending my activities in this matter. The pleasure and the pressure and responsibility of being called Tiger has made me even stronger. I struggled with my own existence, search for what Queen should be for those 3.5 years, but I'm truly grateful to everyone who has always been by my side. Tiger Queen exists thanks to Sayama Sensei, who gave birth to me, Jaguar-san, Coach Idaka, who was always by my side supporting me, and the fans cheering. Tiger Queen is my pride. Someday, somewhere again, Furinakazin, Queen Tiger. So yeah, so basically she was struggling with her identity as both Tiger Queen and Veni. Is understandable. I mean, it's not easy to portray, one identity to the other, but she felt like this had to end it in some capacity. But hopefully maybe she'll do come back, but we just have to wait and see. So until then, we are officially done with news updates. Let's call it a day. Okay, so I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I believe we have more with New Japan Pro Wrestling with the New Japan Cup. I believe we continue with more of the second round matches. And of course, we have TNA Sacrifice. So we'll see how things will roll up on that one. If there's any other events that I want to do, there is one I'm considering, Seriism Chapter 7, I believe. But we'll see how that rolls up from there. But for now, we'll end things here and we'll move forward from there. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.